Why should we run off and join a pirate ship? No. No.
It's no use, Joe.
Please
Joe, we've
don't.
got to have it out.
No.
I have
Hey.
loved you ever since I've known you.
통화 내용이 또 들려오니까 어쩔 수 없이 저는
아버지, 지금 감정이 너무 막 여기 위에 올라가 있는데 그것 좀 여기까지 좀 내려보세요.
어쩔 수 없이 들었어요.
이걸 좀 함축시켜가지고 탁.
All right, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Just no extended talking. Just right into it. Let's go. First Oscar nom we're talking about today: Little Women. When I think of this movie, the word I think of is charming. I've never been really that interested in, you know, like the classic books that have to do with like a farmhouse or just the family, you know, like Little House on the Prairie, family drama, that type of thing, you know, or like seeing people's lives over a couple of years, things like that. I've never really been intrigued by that, but this movie changed me a little bit on that one. Or at least this is the exception to the rule, because it is such a charming movie. It stars Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Elisa Scanlon, Meryl Streep, Laura Dern, Chris Cooper, Timothee Chalamet. I mean, so many people. This is a huge cast, and very well done. And it's funny because it sort of teeters a little bit on that line of like cheesy Hallmark movie, but it's not. Like, it's like really well done. It's not, you know, because obviously there's a different story. This is a famous book, but I love the plot. It's about 4 sisters who we just kind of see their life over about, I think, a span of like a year, and how they grew up. Well, we see their childhood a little bit, but mostly this year, and we see what issues they're dealing with now, in terms of what they want to do with their life or their lives, and most of it has to do with the pressure to have to marry to be successful. Saoirse Ronan's character Jo March wants to disprove that. She wants to say, you don't have to be married to be successful. You can be on your own, you know, as a woman. You can have your own mind and your own ambitions. You know, you don't have to just be in a rich marriage. But it also struggles with that balance between having that, but also sometimes people do get lonely. So I really found it interesting, because there's one scene where that really comes to light, and it was interesting to see that even with all of this want to prove that you don't need to be married to have your own thoughts, she still wanted it anyway. And it's hard because you want that recognition, but you still want, sometimes people want to have that commitment or that love. And it was a really interesting topic to cover. And of course I have to mention Greta Gerwig. I mean, killed it again. Killed it. I mean, I loved it. And the use of, it's so simple but so effective. The use of, in the past, it's nice warm light. You know, it's got like a glow to it. And in the present, when they have all kind of split up a little bit and they're, you know, they're struggling more, it's colder. It's just like moonlight, you know. Not the movie, like, you know, like moonlight, or like just an overcast day. It's just cold. So all of, you know, those things put together, and Saoirse Ronan did an amazing job. Once again, they all did, but she's really good, Saoirse specifically, at playing these roles where she wants to break out and do something else other than the mold she's been put in. Any criticisms I have about it, really, most of it's actually about the story itself, which aren't that many. But it's those criticisms that I feel like I should get down in like a book club or something, you know, and we'd start discussing about, well, I think Joe should have married this person, and I think Amy, you know, maybe should have gone with somebody else, you know, that kind of thing. And I've never read the book. Don't be upset. I have never seen the original movie. I'm about 1,000 here. But I really want to now. I want to read the book and I want to see the original because this was so well done. I loved it. It's charming. It's one of those where everybody's happy about everything. Again, that's why it kind of teeters on a Hallmark movie, but everyone's happy about everything. Everyone's nice about everything. There is drama, obviously, but it comes in really well. I mean, everybody was so good in this movie. Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh got nominated, I think, for actress and supporting actress, respectively. And I think, no, Laura Dern was nominated for Marriage Story, but she had a good year too, apparently. But everybody in this movie is so good. And Meryl Streep plays kind of a bitch.
Well, that's because I'm rich.
Which is weird. I've never seen that. I'm sure she has before, but I've never seen that. But yeah, overall, I love this movie. Again, any criticisms I have about it are more story based, with the book, rather than based on the movie itself. It's just that weird struggle between, who should have ended up with who. What does that mean for them? Did they really meet their goals in life? Things like that. If I have actual criticisms about the movie, they're really small. Like, there were some audio things, and there was one shot right in the beginning where we see the guy, somebody's reading a sheet of paper, and from this side, we can see that there are words. Like, the light coming through the page shows words on the page. But from his perspective, looking to Saoirse Ronan's character, we see at least half the page. And I don't know if it was just me, but there were no words on that page. So I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I missed something, or maybe the light was hitting it weird. But I would definitely watch it again. It's definitely a weirdly feel-good movie. Not all the way through, but for a very big part of it, it's really just a nice movie to sit down and watch. I'm going to give Little Women a 3.5 out of 4. Next, we're going to talk about Parasite. Ooh. Parasite is directed by Bong Joon-ho, and I love this guy because he just seems down to earth. Like, he got nominated for the Oscar, and he was like, that's cool. So he directed Snowpiercer, and I didn't even know that until a little while after. I feel like I should have recognized that. I thought this was his first major one that we have seen, but he directed Snowpiercer, which I loved, and was such an original movie. I don't think it was based off anything, and I think it was just so original, so cool, and he did not disappoint in the follow-up. So Parasite stars, and sorry, I'm going to use notes, but I want to get the names right. Choi Woo-Shik, Park Sodam, Kang Ho-Song, Jand Hye-Jin, Chu Yoo-jong, and Lee Sung-yoon. I probably butchered like half of those. I'm very sorry. This was a really interesting script. As a screenwriter, as a budding, I guess, screenwriter myself, I really, really simultaneously respected this script and was stressed out by it so much, because it is one that can go a number of ways. There are two moments in this movie, towards the middle and towards the end, where I think this is a hinge. Like, if this movie was going to fold into this 3 acts, first act into the second and the third, these are the hinges that it's based upon. But the problem is, any movie, it could go a number of ways, but there's definitely, a lot of times more of a formula. This one has the formula. It just goes in ways you don't expect. You would never have thought. And not that that's a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing, because it kept me guessing. And what made it so much more thrilling. But it stressed me out, because it's like it's almost like it could be your choose your own adventure type thing. Like, it's like, is this person going to do it? Is that person going to go there? What does that mean? And you think it's going to go one way, and it's just a completely separate thing. And it stressed me out, because I'm such a perfectionist. If I'm writing something like that, I need to think about every single possible outcome first, and then see what would be the best one. And with this, obviously I'm watching it in real time, so I can't do that. So my mind's going, oh, it should have gone this way. Maybe it should have gone that way. What if it had done this? I'm so confused. But it was such a good stress because it was original as hell and just made you think the whole way through. You're like, it's definitely gonna go one of these two ways. And you're like, I didn't even see that it could have gone there. Oh, I love the screenplay because I've actually seen it twice now, and it makes sense the more I watch it all the way through. So Parasite is about a family who they're really struggling for money, living in a semi-basement, and like folding pizza boxes for money and things like that. But they're very smart, and you'll see that. So they actually find this family who ends up kind of taking them in on different positions, but they don't know that they're related. They keep, like, one of them gets a job tutoring and then recommends their friend, his sister, as an art teacher, and then they kind of, each position is taken by each of the family members. So it's kind of like this rich family is unknowingly giving all their money to another family. Such an interesting premise. And that's where Parasite comes from, because they're kind of just leeching off of this family. And I think the really interesting thing comes in terms of the story, where I was talking with one of my friends, if you haven't subscribed to him, Jared Smarko. We were watching it together, and we came to the conclusion that no one's really good or bad in this movie. Because they all do things that are very questionable, or they are something that's very questionable. Like, you have two sides. You have this family that we're rooting for, and then you have the other family who they're kind of taking the money from the rich family. And it's a very big in messages about recognizing class struggles and class differences, and how one family, they can seem nice, but they can afford to be nice. And the other family seems like they're doing terrible things, but are they doing that because they're terrible people or because they have to? I'm not saying that anything that they do in the film is okay. Not gonna say that, because there are some things that, there's definitely one point where I was like, that is just far. They definitely have their motivations, I'll say that. I mean, they're there. And it gets to be this struggle, kind of a silent struggle and passive aggressiveness between these two family classes. Yeah, it is just such a twisting and turning type of story that you don't know exactly where it's going to go. And with the stories like this, where the family is obviously hiding a secret, the main family, any other story, the rich family, you're like halfway through, they're going to figure it out, and arguments and chaos is going to ensue. I won't say anything, but that may not necessarily be true in this. One of the fundamental, expectations of a screenplay, and Bong Joon-ho throws it out the window, basically. I won't say how or when, but it doesn't exactly go that way, which is really interesting. If I have criticisms for this movie, if I had criticisms for this movie, I have just one big one, not big, but kind of big one. There's the character of the rich family, the youngest boy, Desong. They have a lot about him, like a lot of different scenes and like subplots going on, and nothing really happens with it. It's kind of like they're using him to foreshadow things and maybe talk about, how some parts of a script never really come to fruition about something when it could have gone that way, which is a big theme in this movie. It could have gone this way or this way. But it just seems like they really focus on him a lot for something that doesn't exactly pan out to anything. That's really my only criticism. And although I have that criticism, I can't deny that this movie really made me think. And it really gave me a new perspective on how screenplays can go and how it doesn't have to be the one specific way. And any unfulfillment I have with it, and like, you know, I can feel it here when I'm watching it. Any uncomfortableness I have with how the script goes is solely due to my perfectionism in screenwriting. It is not in any fault of the movie, because it definitely is something that I'm always looking for. Original stuff that I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm in the movie the entire time. And for that reason, even though I have the one criticism, I'm going to give the movie a 4 out of 4. We need movies like this. I'm really excited that it's nominated for Best Picture. That's 2 years in a row foreign language film is nominated for Best Picture. But I really, really think that this has a big shot out of the 9 for winning. It's so good. And Bong Joon-ho was talking about how people need to learn to read subtitles. Well, if y'all are like me, once you put subtitles on Netflix, you don't even realize it anymore. And like 10 minutes into this movie, once I got what the premise was, I forgot I was reading subtitles. Like, it's not that hard. It's so much more worth it. And it's weird because you're like, well, how am I going to see, you know, like going back and forth between the visuals? Like I said, 15 minutes in, once you get the premise down, you're not even realizing it, and you're seeing the shots. You won't miss. You maybe here or there, but like it's like with any movie, you know, you're gonna miss things here and there when the first time you see them. But yeah, give subtitles a chance, because dubbing just makes it makes it off. I think, at least for me. Check out Parasite, please, just please, and let me know what you think in the comments, because I want to know what everybody thinks about this movie, because it's one of those that's going to be talked about for a while. And let me know what you think about Little Women. You know, did you think it was good adaptation? Do you think Greta Gerwig got snubbed? I do, obviously. Catch the next review when it comes out. We got 4 more movies to go. I think 3 more movies, something like that. So keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. One other thing I thought about, is that if Bong Joon-ho needs a translator, obviously he could direct this one in his, you know, language, but for Snowpiercer, that movie's in English. That means he had to direct that movie using the translator the entire time, which blows my mind, because you have to get that emotion across to the actors and what you want to the actors through the translator. So props to him, props to the translator, and props to the Chris Evans and all of the people who were in that movie, who came together over language barriers and made such a good movie. That's what you want to see in filmmaking. That really proves to me that stories are, you know, they break boundaries. They're above everything.